Buck Benny, a two-fisted, quick-triggered marksman who shoots from the hip and never misses.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. Welcome to another episode of the Jack Benny Show. Tonight we have, appearing for their second week in a row, the Guadalajara Trio. They're not featured as much in this episode as the last one, but I didn't get a chance to talk about them last time, so I thought I would mention them a little bit. The Guadalajara Trio was a performing act that would, in the 1940s and 50s, they would go around and do their little bit, and they were in, I believe, some movies. They certainly, let's see, what did they appear in? Oh yeah, they were in some movies. They appeared as the Guadalajara Boys sometimes. They were guitarists and singers. They were the people. The Guadalajara Trio were Jesus Castilian, Liberto Lavalla, and Mario Santos. And they, of course, performed on the Jack Benny Show that we heard last week, and this week they're on there just bantering back and forth a little bit with Jack. This episode, I wanted to mention that the sound quality of what I've found so far isn't so hot. It goes in and out. Sometimes it's pretty good, and sometimes it's not. I'm going to dig around, see if I can find something with better sound, but if not, that's what we have. I am toying with the idea of grabbing the song from last week, because I'm putting it at the beginning of, right after this podcast, where Dennis performs with them. I think it's one of the more interesting early Dennis numbers. By having the Guadalajara Trio perform with Dennis, I just think it gives it, a bigger vista or something. and I really enjoyed the song last week, so I might bring that forward. We shall see. Let's see, what else? I suppose that I don't have any information on this, but it seems to me like chances are of the Three Amigos movie that came out, 15 years ago or something, with Steve Martin, and I think it was Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short, if I'm right. Probably kind of harken back to this. The Guadalajara Trio kind of wore that sort of outlandish outfits that the Three Amigos wore, and I think it was kind of a nod to the Guadalajara Trio in some way or fashion. Actually, two members of the Guadalajara Trio later became members of Desi Arnaz's band, and you can see them if you watch some of the early I Love Lucy episodes where Desi actually comes out and performs with his band behind him, or they have scenes acted out in front of his band. They really used members of his band for that, and so you can see a couple members of the Guadalajara Trio back there if you know who to recognize and that sort of thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoy tonight's show. Tune in with us next week for some more Jack Benny from 70 years ago this week. And I hope you, like I say, enjoy this episode, and we'll see you then.
It was fiesta down in Mexico, and so I stopped a while to see the show. I knew that frenesí meant please love me, and I could say frenesí. A lovely señorita caught my eye. I stood enchanted as she wandered by, and never knowing that it came from me, I gently sighed frenesí. She stopped and raised her eyes to mine. Her lips just pleaded to be kissed. Her eyes were soft as candle shine. So how was I to resist? Quiero que vivas solo para mí y que tú vayas por donde yo voy, para que mi alma sea no más de ti. Bésame con frenesí.
Bésame tú a mí, bésame igual que mi boca te besó. Dame el frenesí que mi locura te dio.
¿Quién si no fui yo pudo enseñarte el camino del amor? Muerte y maldivé cuando mi orgullo rodó a tus pies. Quiero que vivas solo para mí y que tú vayas por donde yo voy, para que mi alma sea no más de ti. Bésame con frenesí. Dame la luz que tiene tu mirar y la ansiedad que entre tus labios vi. Esa locura de vivir y amar, que más que amor frenesí.
Hay en el beso que te di, alma, piedad, corazón. Dime que sabes tú sentir lo mismo que siento yo.
And now without a heart to call my own, a greater happiness I've never known, because her kisses are for me alone.
Now you can say frenesí.
Now I can say
Very good. That was Frenesy, sung by Dennis E. Day and accompanied by the Guadalajara Trio through the courtesy of the Dollhouse. And very good, boys.
J-E-L-L-O. The Jell-O program coming to you from Hollywood, California, starring Jack Benny, with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. The orchestra opens the program with I See the Moon at Noon. You know, ladies and gentlemen, along about this time each year, folks seem to appreciate a lovely Jell-O dessert even more than usual. For Jell-O, with its vivid, shimmering colors, seems almost like a preview of spring. Its glowing beauty makes you forget that winter is still with us. It adds a special note of gaiety and good cheer to any March meal. And the refreshing, extra-rich flavor of Jell-O gives you a welcome foretaste of next summer's fruits with all their tantalizing, juicy, ripe goodness. So brighten up tomorrow night's dinner with a brilliant Jell-O dessert. Order several packages from your grocer the first thing in the morning, choosing any or all of Jell-O's 6 delicious flavors: strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, or lime. And be especially sure to include strawberry, raspberry, and cherry Jell-O, for each has a new, improved flavor, obtained by using a natural flavor base artificially enhanced. And the result is something mighty swell, a unique and delightful flavor that you'll find better than ever. Enjoy a tempting Jell-O dessert tomorrow. That was I See the Moon at Noon, played by the orchestra. And now, ladies and gentlemen, after a month's vacation in Palm Springs, we bring you a man who looks a month younger, as if that made any difference, Jack Benny.
Thank you. Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking. And Don, I may only look a month younger, but believe me, I feel like a kid. If there was anything I needed, it was those 4 weeks on the desert. Roughing it really did me a world of good.
Roughing it? Well, I wouldn't exactly say that you were leading such a rough life there, Jack.
Oh, you wouldn't, eh?
No, I saw you out many a night in Palm Springs, and you were wearing a tuxedo.
Yes, but it wasn't pressed. And if you'd have looked close, you'd have noticed that carnation in my buttonhole was a cactus blossom. And full of stickers. Don't tell me I didn't rough it. Why, I'm as hard as nails.
So you feel pretty rugged now, huh, Jack?
Do I, Don? You remember how soft and flabby my arms used to be?
Uh-huh.
Well, wait till I roll up my sleeve. I'll make a muscle for you. Wait.
Oh, Jack, you don't have to bother. I'll take your word for it.
No, Don. You know what a liar I am. No, I want to show you. Now watch. I'll raise my arm. There. How's that, Don? How's that muscle?
Where? I don't see it.
Right there on that tattoo. See how fat the eagle is now? See?
Eagle? I thought that was a sparrow.
With E pluribus unum on it? What are you talking about? I tell you, Don, I feel so good I'd like to get in a scrap with someone. Wait till Dennis Day comes in. I'll straighten him out fast. He'll never know what hit him.
Now, Jack, wait a minute. Take it easy.
Take it easy, nothing. I've got a muscle, and I'm going to use it. That kid has got to learn how to behave himself.
But, Jack, you're being unfair. Ever since Dennis has been on this program, he's been a perfect little gentleman. Well-behaved and well-mannered.
Well-mannered? Let me tell you something, Don. Last Monday, when I gave Dennis his salary check, he looked me straight in the eye and said, "Thank you very much."
Well, what's wrong with that?
Don, with the check he gets, that very much is pure sarcasm. Teach that kid to thank me. Oh, hello, Mary.
Hello, Jack. What are you doing with your fist up in the air?
I made a muscle for Don, and I can't get my arm down. See? See the muscle?
Where?
Right there.
Some muscle. Looks like a marshmallow with a hangover.
The hardest marshmallow you ever saw. Boy, there's a real muscle.
What are you going to do, stand there like a baking soda ad?
No, help me get my arm down. Here, pull. Ooh. Well, the eagle's a sparrow again. But just the same, wait till Dennis gets here. I'll fix that kid.
What about Dennis?
I'm going to beat him up, that's all. He's been acting too fresh around here lately, and it's time I straighten him out.
Straighten him out? Why don't you do something about Phil Harris? He's the wise guy.
Mary, Phil is nothing but a big, playful kid. But Dennis is a real troublemaker.
And he's smaller than you are.
That's merely a coincidence. Let me ask you something, Mary. How about when we were driving back from Palm Springs in the Maxwell? All that kid did was complain all the way in.
Well, who wouldn't complain? It's a 3-hour trip, and it took us 4 days to make it.
Well,
4 days from Palm Springs to Los Angeles? Why, it's only 120 miles.
129. We came by way of San Bernardino. Besides, we stopped to enjoy the scenery. It was lovely down with those snow-capped mountains and beautiful orange groves.
Oh, you and your orange groves. That's all we had for 4 days, orange juice.
Never mind.
The sign got 'em. All you can drink for 10 cents.
Now, wait a minute, Mary. Wait a minute. Don't give Don any false impressions. There was food, too. What about that delicious pressed chicken we had?
It had to be pressed. You ran over it.
All right, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
An accident?
Yes.
Then why did Rochester yell tally-ho and chase it clear through a cornfield?
It never happened, and you know it. Would have been a very pleasant trip if you and Dennis hadn't been beefing all the time. I'll fix that kid. By the way, Don, how did you come back to town?
Well, the little woman and I took the train. It was a very nice, restful trip.
Oh, the train is swell, Don, but I prefer motoring myself. I don't know, you see more of the country that way.
But, Jack, even allowing for sightseeing, I can't understand why it took you 4 days to come from Palm Springs to Los Angeles.
Oh, 4 days isn't so bad.
That's progress. It used to take the covered wagon 6.
And they didn't come by way of San Bernardino like I did. Anyway, Mary, you had a swell time in Palm Springs. You're back in Hollywood safe and sound, so forget it.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, here he is. All right, kid, put him up. Put him up. You've been aching for trouble, and you're going to get it.
What's going on here?
This It's a long story. Jack found a muscle.
It's not it at all. Come on, kid, up with your dukes. I'll teach you to be careful.
Well, gee, I didn't mean to run over that tin can with the lawnmower.
That's not what I'm talking about. A small fine covers that. I just don't want you to go around complaining about your trip home from Palm Springs. I was nice enough to invite you.
Gosh, I drank so much orange juice I feel like a sunset.
Well, let me tell you something, Dennis. Orange juice is not only nourishing, but it's very good for you. It'll keep you from catching a cold.
I won't sneeze till 1980.
Well, that does it. All right, Dennis, put up your due.
Oh, Jack, will you stop being so childish? You're just picking on Dennis because he's the smallest one in our gang.
Mary's right. It's not like you, Jack, to be a bully. Why, in your physical condition, you could mangle the kid.
I could? Gee.
Certainly, you're a gorilla. You don't realize your own strength.
I don't? Well,
No. Now, the least you can do is apologize to Dennis.
well, all right.
You don't have to, Mr. Benny. I'm a rat, and that's all there is to it.
No. No, you're not a rat, kid.
Well, one of us is.
Look, Dennis, you better sing your song before I lose my temper again. I don't know my own strength, like Don says. Now, what's it going to be?
I'm going to sing In Dublin's Fair City.
Good, good. Oh, Mary,
What do you want?
help me get my arm down. It's stuck again.
Okay.
Ooh. Thanks, Mary. Sing, kid.
In Dublin's fair city, where girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone. As she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh. Cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She was a fishmonger, but sure it's no wonder, for so were father and mother before. They wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh. Cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She died of a fever, and no one could save her. And that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Her ghost wheels her barrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh. Crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh.
That was In Dublin's Fair City, sung by Dennis Day. And very apropos, Dennis, tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, isn't it?
Sure it is.
Yes, sir.
You tell me to put up my dukes tomorrow, and I'll knock your block off.
Dennis, I'm not going all the bother putting my arm up again. So control yourself.
Oh, Jack,
What is it, Don?
tomorrow being St. Patrick's Day, I have a great treat for our audience tonight.
A treat?
Yes, I prepared my commercial this evening with a Gaelic slant. I'm going to deliver it with an Irish brogue. I do it very well.
No kidding. Well, that really is a treat, Don. Any novelty is always welcome on this program. You say you do it with an Irish brogue, eh?
Yes?
Swell, swell. Now go ahead. Let's hear it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next time you go to your neighborhood grocer, why not ask him for a package of tempting and appetizing Jell-O? It is not only economical and easy to make,
Where's the bro?
but comes in 6 delicious flavors: strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
Don, where's the bro?
So always insist on genuine Jell-O and look for the big red letters on the box. Be Gora.
There it is! Oh, that's it! Oh, I didn't know we were going to have... Well, you did that beautifully, Don. Oh, that's a marvelous brogue. How did you ever acquire it?
Oh, I do several dialects, Jack. Would you like to hear me read the same commercial as the Swede would do it?
Don, if you think I'm going to listen to that whole thing again just to hear you say yump and yiminy at the end of it, you're crazy. Now go away. Oh, hello, Phil.
Hiya, Jackson. You back in town already?
Yeah, I got in last night. But you know, I don't know, I wish we could have stayed in Palm Springs a couple of more weeks. It's wonderful there.
Well, personally, I'm glad to be back in the city.
What's the matter, Phil? Don't you like the desert?
No, that fresh air gets under my eyes and puffs them up.
Oh.
And I can't stand that hot sun beating down on my head.
Well, why don't you wear a hat?
Look, Jackson, I got gorgeous hair, and it would be sheer madness to hide it.
Well, that's the most conceited thing I ever heard. You know, Phil, I could have gorgeous hair, too, if I got it marcelled every week like you do.
Well, why don't you?
Well, maybe I will.
If you can get a Marcel, so can a coconut.
What? What did you say?
Did I put my jokes up, Mr. Benny?
Not this time, kid. This is strictly between Miss Livingston and me.
You want to step out in the alley?
Oh, quiet. We're talking to Phil about Palm Springs. Now, how long did it... Mary, put your dukes down. Phil, how long did it take you to drive back?
Well, with all the traffic and everything, about an hour and 45 minutes.
Only an hour and 45 minutes?
Yes, and I stopped for a rumble lesson in Pomona.
Well, I'll be darned. An hour and 45 minutes.
That's what I can't understand, Jack. Why in the world it should take you 4 days to drive that distance?
Well, we had a lot of tough breaks, Don, and hard luck all the way.
I'll say, just as we were pulling into Beaumont, all the tires blew out.
Yeah.
All 4 of them?
All 4 in the spare. They've got a union.
Wait a minute, you're wrong, Mary. We had that tire trouble in Banning. Beaumont is where we ran out of gas.
We ran out of gas in Azusa.
No, Mary, I think it was Arcadia. Yeah, we ran out of gas in Arcadia.
Arcadia's where the top blew off.
The top didn't blow off. It shook off. Besides, it didn't happen in Arcadia. It was Pasadena.
It was not.
It was, too.
Pasadena's where we hit a bump and the headlights changed places.
Oh, yes. We had motor trouble there, too.
Motor trouble? Were you held up very long?
Yeah, we had to stay overnight, so Jack and Rochester made a personal appearance at the theater.
That's right, Don. I figured as long as we had to stay there, we might as well do our act.
How was the business, Jackson? Did you pack 'em in?
Well, it was on such short notice, Phil, and then it was raining, and besides that, we were bucking a terrific picture that was playing right across the street.
Yeah? What was the name of it?
Puppets of Passion, starring Ronald Glick and Heather Noodleman. Adults only. But we did pretty well at that. Anyway, enough of our adventures getting back home. What do you say, Phil? How about a band number?
Okay, Jackson. What do you want us to play? Something popular or something classified?
That's classical. Classified. Oh, brother, what a dodo.
Well, it ain't my fault. You dragged me down to Palm Springs, and I missed 4 weeks of night school.
Oh, that's right. You did miss night school. Did it set you back any?
Yeah, the teacher's going around with another guy now.
Oh, she is. Say, your teacher must be good looking.
Jackson, she's pretty enough to be a cigarette girl.
I see. Well, Phil, let me know when you graduate from school, will you? I want to send your diploma to Ripley. Now, let's have a number. I don't care whether it's classified or classical. Just play it. Wait a minute. Come in.
Pues bueno, muchachos, estamos esperando aquí mucho tiempo.
No vale la pena. Mira la molestia que ya nos ha dado.
Esperamos bastante tiempo. Ya voy a pedir a Jack Benny que nos pague enseguida, pronto.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait, who are these 3 guys?
Those are the boys that sang on a program last week.
Oh, the Guadalajara Trio from Palm Springs. Well, I paid them their money. What do they want?
More. More. I gave him plenty. I gave you mucho pesos, boys. Remember?
Pero queremos más dinero, por eso estamos aquí.
Look, fellas, if you want more money, I'll straighten it out with you tomorrow. Mañana. Mañana.
Why don't you pay them tonight?
I don't know the word. Mañana, boys. All right, go ahead and play, Phil. Hey, fellas, adios, will ya? Adios. I wish I knew a good Spanish lawyer. That was Darling Nellie Gray, played by Phil Harris and his classified orchestra. Classified meaning I'm going to put an ad in the paper. I've had enough of them. And now, ladies and gentlemen.
Oiga, Jack Benny, ¿por qué no la arreglamos ahora?
Oh, please, fellas, I'll pay you pronto. Pronto.
Pronto means right now.
Oh. Mañana, fellas. Mañana. Adios, will ya? And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce that next Sunday night for our feature attraction, the Benny, We Know Our Business, but We're in the Wrong One players, will present their version of 20th Century Fox's version, of Jack Kirkland's version, of Erskine Caldwell's famous book, that sensational and daring saga of the Georgia Hill Country, Tobacco Road. Thank you, Cupcake. I should have hit that thing. I've got a muscle. Now, this great American classic will be the outstanding effort of our next Sunday's broadcast.
I haven't seen the picture yet, Jack. What's it like?
Well, it follows the play pretty closely, Mary. And just think, the legitimate show is still playing at the Forest Theater in New York. Remember the time I took you to see Tobacco Road when it first opened?
Oh, yes. Gee, that was a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget that night. You wore a derby hat, white spats, and a checkered suit.
And a bamboo cane. You know, in those days when I'd walk down the street, I wanted people to know I was an actor.
You never could tell in the theater.
Oh, yes, they could.
Say, Jackson, I remember Tobacco Road in them days.
Oh, did you see it, Phil?
No, I lived there.
Oh, that's right. Well, Phil, you can be our technical advisor and tell us when to take our shoes off. You know? Anyway, folks, tonight, as a trailer to this outstanding dramatic vehicle, we are going to present a few of the highlights that will... Pardon me, I'll take it. Hello?
Oh, Mr. Benny, guess who this is?
Well, really, I haven't the slightest idea.
I'll give you a hint. Who works harder than anybody in the world?
Not you, Rochester. I bet $12 you're laying down while you're talking to me. You got the phone in one hand and a chicken sandwich in the other.
White meat or dark meat?
Never mind. I'm very busy now, Rochester. What do you want?
Well, I'm over here in Pasadena to pick up the Maxwell, but you didn't give me enough money.
Rochester, I gave you $20 to have that motor fixed. And that's plenty.
I know, but complications have set in.
What do you mean?
You remember how the motor used to backfire just before it blow up?
Yes?
Well, now it whistles 8 bars of there I go and boom.
Well, that's only because it's overheated. Is the fan turning over?
What's that, boss?
I said, is the fan turning over?
How can it? You've been wearing the belt for 2 weeks.
Well, that's your fault. You gave me a buckle for Christmas. Now tell the man to put on a new fan belt and have him fix that little leak in the radiator.
Little leak.
Yes.
Boss, that thing drips like a California sky.
No, it's not that bad. Now have it fixed and pay the garage man. And Rochester, if I didn't give you enough money, pay the difference and I will reimburse you.
I beg your pardon?
I said I'll reimburse you. That means I'll pay you back.
I know what it means. I just want to hear you say it.
You'll get it. Don't worry. I'll see you at home.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, say, boss,
Now what?
I read in the paper where you signed a contract to make another picture pretty soon. Is that correct?
Yes, why?
I wish you'd speak to me about those things.
That's none of your business. Goodbye. Should speak to him about it. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as I start to announce, we will now have a preview of Tobacco Road. Take it, Mr. Wilson.
Tobacco Road, a few of the highlights from this sensational production. First, romance.
I'll love you, Ellie Mae. What do you say we get hitched?
You mean get married?
No, get hitched. I want to plow the field.
Drama.
Hey, Jeter, ain't the clouds fleecy tonight? That's the mattress. You're under the bed.
Intrigue.
Is there anybody home?
Yes, come in, tree.
Comedy.
Why does a hen cross the road?
So Jack can have pressed chicken.
Now cut that out.
Suspense. Estamos cansados de esperar aquí. Queremos el dinero.
I told you, fellas, mañana. Mañana.
Technicolor.
Oh, boss.
Rochester. These are only a few of the highlights of dramatic thrills that are in store for you next Sunday night. Don't forget to tune in, folks. Tobacco Road.
Bigger than puppets of passion.
You said it. Play, Phil.
Many folks find that Sunday evening is a swell time for writing those letters they've intended to write all week but just haven't got around to. So if you haven't yet written for your copy of General Foods' new dessert recipe book, as I know you've meant to, why not do it tonight? Just address an envelope to me, Don Wilson, care of General Foods, Battle Creek, Michigan. Then place a dime in coin or stamps in the envelope, together with your name and address, and mail it right away. In return, we'll send you a copy of our new dessert recipe book, a big 48-page recipe book so beautiful that you'll never tire of looking at it, and so convenient that you'll use it not just once or twice, but all the time. It's a new idea in recipe books altogether because it's designed to give you a different idea for dessert every single day of the year. There are tempting suggestions and recipes for 365 luscious desserts, pastries, puddings, cakes, cookies, and every other kind of treat you can think of, including lots of desserts made with rich, shimmering Jell-O. And this grand book is simply full of colorful, fascinating pictures, lovely photographs, and clever, attractive paintings, page after page of them. So don't wait another day to send for this useful and beautiful book. Tonight, take a few minutes to write for your copy. Just send 10 cents in coin or stamps to Don Wilson, care of General Foods, Battle Creek, Michigan. Be sure you remember the address. Don Wilson, care of General Foods, Battle Creek, Michigan.
last number of the 24th program in the current Jello series, and we will be with you again next Sunday night at the same time. So be sure to tune in and hear our version of Tobacco Road. Say, Mary, I'm going to be a hillbilly next week. I better dig up some old clothes.
Why don't you wear that checkered suit? You still got it.
Oh, yes. But the coat is so tight on me now. I'll never be able to get my muscle in it.
Oh, just wear the vest. That hollow chest of yours will fit anything.
Not when I inhale. Good night, folks.
The Texaco Star Theater. The more than 45,000 Texaco dealers from coast to coast welcome you to an hour of mirth and melody. With our star comedian, Fred Allen, Kenny Baker and Portland Hoffa, the Texaco Round Table, the Martins and Al Goodman's Orchestra. It's Texaco time. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is the first day of spring, the day when Mother Nature auditions her buds and flowers.
Yeah.
But in radio, it is always spring.
Always spring.
Things are always blooming. And to prove it, we bring you that perennial bloomer, Fred Allen, in person.
Thank you. I've got to get shorter legs or garters, Jimmy. But thank you, and good evening. How do you get that enthusiasm? Is that vitamin B1? Are you up to that?
Oh, that's amazing. That buds of...
How do you do that? Thank you. You shouldn't talk through that stash. It's straining your voice, you know. Well, thank you, and thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Mr. Equinox Wallington, for that botanical send-off. Ah, spring in old New York.
Spring in old New York. Baloney.
Mr. Wallington, please, that delicatessen innuendo there.
Well, who knows if it is spring here in old New York?
Why, signs of spring are everywhere, Jimmy. Trees budding, flowers blossoming, green things shooting up.
Green things? Name one green thing you've seen in New York.
Why, green things come up out of the sidewalks here, Jimmy. Look in front of any A&P store. Brussels sprouts, spinach, anything you can imagine. Why, everything is green. The front of the Bronx Park Express, I saw it coming uptown tonight. There are 4 pages of greens in the phone book. And I just took a look at that gold cigarette case you gave me for Christmas. Brother, that is as green as a grasshopper's groin.
Well, that's beside the point. I still say there's no sign of spring in New York.
Well, I am amazed at you, James. The first sign of spring appeared here last week. Remember? Mayor LaGuardia gave the snow 24 hours to get out of town. Of course, the snow didn't get out of town. The thing was finally slushed up, I understand, down there. But you've got to admit that the public did get the drift.
Oh, yeah. Got the drift is right. Got the drift is perfectly right.
Don't
Why,
repeat it. It's
oh,
no good.
you think
Even
they
the
heard
first
it?
time,
Did
it's
they
not
hear it?
much good.
I didn't write it.
But I know it, but don't. Now they know who to blame. I mean, yeah.
Well, all I was going to say, Fred, was that coming to rehearsal yesterday,
Why
I
don't
got...
you get a comb? What do you pick your hair? Why don't you
May I go on?
Yes, I just noticed you've got a bigger part in your hair than you have in the script. All right.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
you know, when I was coming to rehearsal yesterday, I got chapped hips.
Well, everybody's forgotten what
I
that
think
was
so,
supposed
too.
to refer to.
Had to do with drift.
And so we turn to the latest news of the week.
Go ahead.
The Texaco News presents its highlight from the world of news. New York City, New York. Bus strike ties up city lines as 3,000 drivers walk out, leaving 900,000 daily bus riders free to sample other forms of conveyance. Strike, now in its second week, started on March 10th. To date, mediation has failed. Early last evening, a bus spokesman said...
The bus companies are sitting tight.
Late last night, a union official said...
The bus drivers are sitting tight.
At an early hour this morning, John Doe said...
I'm in the subway standing tight.
As crowds scurry daily for other means of transportation, the bus strike still drags on. Texaco News, to get the lowdown on the slowdown, interviews man about town to chronicle reactions on the bus walkout. Our first guest, Mr. Solomon Sill. You are a bus rider, Mr. Sill.
Yeah, I live in Jersey. I commute.
Well, naturally, how else would you get over here? Well, has the bus strike inconvenienced you, Solomon?
No, I've solved the problem very nicely.
You have? How?
Well, I come over from Jersey every morning on the 42nd Street ferry.
Yeah?
When the buses was running, I'd take a bus across town to Lexington Avenue.
Oh, the bus right across to Lexington Avenue.
Sure.
Well, now that the buses have stopped...
I have been using a little boy.
Oh, you mean the little boy carries you over from
No. This little boy has a bicycle.
Oh, and you...
Yeah, every morning in Jersey, I show the little boy a piece of candy.
Mm-hmm.
The little boy follows me onto the ferry with his bicycle.
Yeah?
Now, when the ferry docks at 42nd Street, I take the bicycle away from the little boy.
Well, good for you.
And then I pedal lickety-split to Lexington Avenue, check the bicycle, and go to the office.
And at night?
My day's work finished, I pedal lickety-split back to the ferry, return the bicycle to the little boy, and we both go back to Jersey.
At twilight, a most ingenious arrangement. But tell me, Mr. Sill, what does the little boy do in New York all day?
Nothing. He just hangs around the ferry and cries.
And the next morning, you show him your candy and coax him back on the ferry again.
Yeah, he's a gullible little fella, fortunately.
Fortunately, yes. And thank you for this ferry story, Mr. Solomon Sill. A woman who experienced a trying domestic dilemma as a result of the bus strike was Mrs. Hildegard Buxbaum. You have been upset, Mrs. Buxbaum?
What is happening to me couldn't happen to you. What is happening to me?
Well, what is happening, Mrs. B?
Well, starting since last September, my little boy Seymour, I am enrolling in private school.
Oh, I see. Seymour, huh?
Yes. Every morning to school by 9 o'clock should be inside Seymour.
At 9 o'clock.
Yes, this is a rule. A bell is ringing.
Oh, I see. It facilitates things. And where is the school?
The school is by 66th Street, west side.
West side?
We are living by 145th Street, east side.
East side. And you come down by bus?
Formerly by bus we are coming, I and Seymour.
Well, tell me, how did you get to school after the bus strike?
How else? By subway.
Well, how on earth could you get from east 145th Street to west 66th Street by subway?
Foxy Mrs. Buxbaum, I am doping out a way.
Foxy Mrs. Buxbaum. How?
First, I'm going to Grand Central downtown.
Downtown, huh?
Then I'm going to Times Square, crosstown.
Crosstown.
Then I'm going to 72nd Street, uptown.
Uptown.
And finally, I'm going to 66th Street, downtown.
Downtown. And
And boom, 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 it is Seymour School.
that is a wonderful route.
Wonderful, but I am not taking it.
Why not?
Silly Seymour, that shimps. The trouble that boy is making.
What did he do?
The first day, I am putting on Seymour the beanie,
Uh-huh.
and I'm taking him by the ear.
Yeah?
I'm pushing him under the turnstile, and tally-ho, we are off in the subway.
And on your way to school.
What school?
What, something went wrong?
Everything is going wrong. The first change we are making at Grand Central, and I am saying, come, Seymour.
Yes?
Stubborn Seymour is not coming. With screaming and stamping, Seymour is holding back.
He refused to get off the train?
All day long, Seymour is refusing. First, we are in the Bronx. Next, we are in Flatbush, Brooklyn. Then we are in the Bronx again. Next, it is Flatbush again. This is going on incessantly.
You couldn't get Seymour off?
Till 10 o'clock at night. Finally, Seymour is falling asleep. I am taking him home, the little darling.
Well, tell me, Mrs. Bucksbaum, why wouldn't Seymour come out of the subway?
Well, last summer by Coney Island, Seymour and I am taking in all the rides.
Yes?
The subway, Seymour thinks, is again the Scenic Railway.
The Scenic Railway.
This he is enjoying. He is a kiddie.
Oh, yes. And you haven't been able to get Seymour back to school since?
What school? Home he's staying. He could grow up to be a dope yet.
But if he turns out to be a dope in later life...
Seymour could make a living on the radio. You are doing bad?
I see your point, and I'm seeing my lawyer, and thank you, Mrs. Hildegard Bucksbaum. One of the many men who was happy to see the strike start was a Malcolm Lump. Is that right, Malcolm?
Oh, the bus strike sure was a break for us taxi drivers.
You've been working hard, have you, Malcolm?
I ain't been to bed for 8 nights.
For sakes alive, how do you stay awake?
I stopped drinking Sanka.
You stopped drinking,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Well, have you been riding all over New York with your cab?
Nah, I've just been cruising up and down Madison Avenue following a bus route.
I see.
At first, I was stopping at every corner like a bus.
Really?
Yeah, people was clambering in and out.
Mm-hmm.
It was bedlam. I had a guy back in the cab making change.
Oh, you were jammed.
Oh, brother. The second day, I had to cut another door in the back of the cab. Like a patrol wagon.
You mean so that people could get out?
Yeah, I'm too cramped. I'm riding 20 people every trip.
20 people crammed into one taxi cab? Well, didn't they complain?
Well, they did it first. Then I figured myself out of system.
What?
Before the 20 people get in the cab, I introduced everybody all around.
Yeah?
Then I'd ram them into the cab.
Oh, that made it all right.
Why, certainly. When people are introduced, they like to be closer acquainted.
And all in all, then, would you say this... all in all, would you say the strike was a success?
It was the greatest thing that could happen.
How do you mean, Malcolm?
Coming right after income tax time.
Yeah?
The bus strike put everybody in New York back on their feet again.
Another Walker administration. And thank you, Malcolm Lump. Well, we hope that the bus strike will soon be settled to the satisfaction of all concerned. For until the buses start to roll again, the New Yorkers' theme song will be...
Hand me down my walking cane, 'cause I must walk downtown again. As long as the buses stay on strike, all New Yorkers got to hike. So hand me down my walking, hand me down my walking, hand me down my walking, my walking cane.
And so we turn from the bus dilemma to an artist whose fans are transported by his melodies. He's Kenny Baker, the young man with a song. And Kenny's first song tonight is It All Comes Back to Me Now.
starry summer sky, a laughing you and I alone. It all comes back to me now, a sea of midnight blue, your face uplifted to my own. We called it a thrill of a moment and blamed the moon up above. We didn't know what the glow meant. We never dreamed it might be love. It all comes back to me now, the love I threw away, and now each lonely night I pray that it will all come back to me someday. Why do I feel so lonely, so lost and blue? Why does my heart wander aimlessly the whole night through? It all comes back to me now, a sea of midnight blue, your face uplifted to my own. It all comes back to me now, the love I threw away, and now each lonely night I pray that it will all come back to me
That was the new official theme song for Mr. Morgenthau in the Income Tax Department. It all comes back to me now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, spring officially begins tomorrow evening at 7:21 p.m. And to honor this auspicious occasion, I have composed an ode to spring.
Well, what is it called, Fred?
Ode to spring. I took a bit of doing, but I worked it out. Ode to spring. Tomorrow at exactly 7:21 p.m., people who look for the first signs of spring will see them. Yes, at exactly 7:21 by the clock. I'm giving a different reading this time, you see. Yes, at exactly 7:21 by the clock, the first crocus will thrust its head through the earth where it is hidden all winter, and robins will fly northward by the flock. So whatever you are doing tomorrow evening, watch your Bolivar. At 7:21, spring spirits, you'll be full of her. How'd you like it, Jimmy?
Well, it just goes to show that not all the duds are in gasoline.
Well, if you think you can do any better, bub, let's hear you try.
I certainly shall. Here's my ode to spring, and it's more truth than poetry.
I hope so.
Tomorrow at 7:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the season of spring officially begins. And taking to the road at this new season of the year will be many thousands of new Fire Chief users. Car owners who discovered Fire Chief's all-action performance under tough driving conditions and intend staying with it the year round. Now, the reason for Fire Chief's brilliant, eager performance is easily explained. The duds, those useless, sluggish elements in gasoline, are out of Fire Chief. That's what gives Fire Chief its fast starts, quick pickup, economical mileage. It's all driving energy. So next time, try a Texaco dealer and famous Fire Chief. There's not a dud in a tank full.
is Emma Poehler, played by Al Goodman, and as I've got to pass your horse to get to my horse orchestra. The only band in radio playing from racing forms. And consistently finishing out of the money. And now, ladies and gentlemen, hello, Portland.
Hello.
Well, as the school teacher said to the little boy who spelled snow with an E, what's snoo? That's not bad. I mean, after all, you let a joke like that lay there. What's snoo? S-N-E-W. What's snoo? I mean, let's have it thrashed out. Now, either it's a joke or it isn't a joke.
But this is no place for jokes, Mr. Allen.
Do you know of... You're telling me. Do you know of... I could tell him home and get better results. Do you know of a better place for jokes? This is supposed to be a comedy program, isn't it?
Yes, but jokes are old-fashioned. Comedy programs today all go in for romance.
What romance?
Well, on Bob Hope's program, for instance, he's always in love.
Well, Bob Hope is a much younger man, Portland. As men go, he's a boy.
But you're prettier.
But... Oh, you don't need your job that badly, Portland, do you?
And look at Mr. Benny. He's always taking girls out.
Oh, Benny with the light brown toupee? Look, the only thing Benny ever takes out on a moonlit night is his upper plate. Got the only upper plate with portable pallet attached, the only one I've ever seen. Well, what gave you this romance idea anyway, Portland?
Well, tomorrow is the first day of spring.
Oh, again with the spring. All the spring is out of spring. That's all we've talked about tonight, spring.
Yes, but you haven't had any romance.
Well, how can you inject romance into a program like ours? Look around. I mean, look at the...
Well, if somebody would take out a girl, we'd have something romantic to talk about.
Well, do you know of a girl under 70 who would even be seen with anyone on this program?
I know just the girl.
Who?
Olive Fagelson.
Olive Fagelson?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Olive would be crazy about you. She's nearsighted.
Now, look, Portland, my scamp days are over. The last girl I took out left town and became the second girl on the end with the Floridora sextet.
Well, how about Mr. Goodman, then?
Mr. Goodman?
Somebody is calling Goodman?
Yes.
Then out is popping Goodman like a jerk in the box.
Jerk in the box is right.
Mr. Goodman, would you like to meet a lovely girl, Olive Fagelson?
No, but positively no. And this I am saying in all reluctance.
But why?
This I can explain briefly in 2 words.
What 2 words?
Mrs. Goodman.
You see, he reads lines like an auctioneer. You know, someday he'll be reading a line and he'll get a bid on the script. You see, Portland, romance on this program is a dud.
Well, then, how about Kenny Baker?
Oh, you can't get Kenny to go out with a girl. Kenny thinks billing and cooing is a dance team. Why, Kenny even blushes when he passes the YWCA.
Well, maybe we can talk Kenny into it.
Well, that we is singular, Portland. You can talk Kenny into it.
Spring, spring, glorious spring. Open the window and hear the birds sing. Tweet, 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 tweet. Hi, kids.
Well, hi, Kenny. I sense the old nest in your voice tonight. Kenny, there is no season like spring, is there?
Oh, boy.
Ah, the birds twittering.
Yeah.
The soft, balmy breezes.
Yeah.
Does something to a man, hey, Kenny?
I know just what you mean, F.A.
Yeah?
Makes you want to get out the old kite and fly the tail off of it.
Well, I told you, Portland. Kenny doesn't even know what romance is.
Kenny?
Yes, Porty?
Have you ever thought about girls?
Girls? You mean those skinny things that wear dresses and open-toed shoes?
Yes.
Yeah, I think about them a lot.
What do you think about them?
Don't their toes ever get cold?
Look, Kenny, don't be so shy. You're not afraid of girls, are you?
Not unless they're bigger than I am.
Oh, well, It's no use.
Why don't you just try talking to a girl, Kenny? You might like it.
Oh, I talked to a girl a whole hour yesterday, and I didn't like it.
Well, who was the girl?
The cashier at the Paramount Theater, a redhead.
Well, why didn't you like it?
I still had to pay to get in.
Well, I know, but that was a business discussion, a bit of a fragment of pleasant bickering, a battle of wits.
Yes, Kenny. I want you to meet a girl socially.
What for?
Portland wants you to take out an Olive Fagelson.
What's an Olive Fagelson?
It's something like a muffler, only it walks. It's a girl. A girl. She's the girl you're to make a date with.
What's a date?
Well, she...
For instance,
Oh.
you buy 2 tickets for the movies.
Yes?
And you take Olive along.
I can't buy her a ticket for the movies. I don't even know her.
Well, what difference does that make?
She might not pay me back.
Here's Olive's number, Kenny. Just try talking to
Look,
her.
I'll do my part. I'll dial the number for you, Kenny.
But, F.A., I'm liable to get involved.
Don't be such a fraidy cat.
Something tells me I'm being talked into this.
Now, here's the phone. They're ringing the other number.
Gosh, F.A., I don't know what...
Go ahead and answer the phone.
Hello? What's her name?
Fagelson. Olive Fagelson.
Oh, yes. Hello? Is this the residence of Olive Fagelson? What? My name is Kenny Baker. Yes, I'm working, sure. I make around $15 a week. Sure, I plan on settling down.
Kenny, what kind of talk is that? You've just met the girl.
This is her father.
The old Atape, hey? That's different.
Hello? What was that? I should say not.
What's the matter, Kenny?
He says I'll have to bring her home at 11 o'clock.
Well, tell him you will.
How can I? I gotta be home by 10 myself.
Now, look, ask for Olive, Kenny, and let's get this romance over with.
Hello? Who's this? Oh, you're Olive's mother. I'm Kenny Baker, Mrs. Fagelson. What? Yeah, $15 a week. For Fred Allen. Sure, he pays me every week. He's rich. Wait, I'll ask him. Mr. Allen.
What, Kenny?
What are you doing tomorrow night?
Never mind what Portland, what kind of people are these Fagelsons?
Hello? Here's Olive.
Oh, good.
Olive, this is Kenny Baker. Portland asked me to... What? $15 a week.
Tell Olive you want to take her to dinner.
But I don't want to take her to dinner. Wait a minute. What was that, Olive? Oh, I said I didn't want to take you to dinner.
Kenny, that's no way to talk.
It's too late, F.A. She says she'll come anyway. She'll meet me at Lindy's.
Well, tell her it's okay.
Olive, Mr. Allen says it's okay for Lindy's. Hold the wire. Mr. Allen.
Yeah?
How much is dinner at Lindy's?
For 2, about $3.
$3?
Yeah.
Goodbye, Olive.
Kenny, you hung up.
You bet. $3 is a lot of money just to stuff an olive.
You see, Portland, romance is out. It's no use. Spring or no spring, it's obvious that no girl will ever take Kenny away from us.
Yeah, I'm hard to get. I'll answer it. Hello? No, Olive. What? Well, that's different. We'll have dinner at your house at 8, sugar.
Well, I have heard everything.
Okay, Olive. Till tomorrow, then. Till we meet again. Toujours l'amour. Toots. Oh, boy, oh, boy.
Congratulations, Kenny. Spring is here, and today you are a man.
Boy, I'm in for the time of my life. Say, F.A.
Yes, Kenny?
Can you lend me a quarter?
You mean for your date tomorrow night?
Yeah. Olive's kid brother Cecil's going to be there.
Oh, I get it. You're going to slip Cecil a quarter and send him out to a movie?
No. I'm going to slip Olive a quarter and send her out to the movie.
Kenny.
Cecil's got an electric train with 40 feet of track. Yoo-hoo!
Before I give up, I'll take one last chance and try to get Kenny in the mood. I've asked the Martins to dedicate their song to Kenny, and so the Martins sing A Romantic Guy, I.
A romantic guy, I.
Pale and frantic guy you are, so high in the sky that each passerby must know that love is the reason why.
A romantic guy, I.
You're romantic guy bring heaven nigh. So why don't you try a romantic guy?
A romantic guy.
I see the moon at noon. I see bright stars the whole day through.
I see a rainbow in each stormy sky, as long as I have you.
I see the moon at noon. I see red roses in the snow. You've kept each vow of love, and now I know why I see the moon at noon. Ooh, a romantic guy, you.
Pale and frantic guy I am.
So high in the sky that each passerby must know that love is the reason why.
A romantic guy, you.
No romantic guy my way
Would bring heaven nigh. So why don't you try a romantic guy? A romantic guy.
Our special guest of the evening, Miss Francesca Drab. What is it you do again, Miss Drab?
I sell toast insurance.
Toast insurance? What is that?
Well, every morning, thousands of housewives all over the country put their bread in a toaster, forget it, and it burns.
Oh, and with your toast insurance, you pay the loss if the toast burns?
No, I keep it from burning.
Oh, I see.
With every policy, I give you a parrot.
A parrot? Well, what has a parrot got to do with the toast insurance?
The parrot is trained to sit on top of the toaster.
Yeah?
The toast starts to smoke. The parrot sees the smoke. The parrot yells fire. You turn off the toaster's saved.
Well, it is a marvelous idea. I see just one tiny flaw, Francesca. By the time the parrot sees the smoke and clears his beak to yell fire, the toast is apt to be a whole wheat clinker. As Jimmy Wallington often says,
When you see a cloud of smoke rising from the electric toaster, it's too late. The toast is burned. And when you see smoke pouring from an automobile exhaust pipe, the chances are it's also too late. The damage in the form of excessive engine wear may already have taken place, with no help for it except a repair job. Smoke means trouble. So let insulated Haviland motor oil safeguard your engine from excessive wear due to heat, to cold, and to oil impurities. Haviland stands up under the high temperatures developed by modern engines, heat that may break down ordinary oils and accelerate wear. Haviland flows freely in cold weather, helps prevent dry, wearing starts. And Haviland is distilled to remove carbon-forming impurities. Take no chances with smoke and trouble. Change to insulated Haviland at your Texaco dealer. Texaco Star Theater continues immediately after a short pause for your station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That was you. You should be set to music from the popular musical review, Crazy with the Heat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we open our Texaco roundtable for a short fiesta of trivia. Our three guests are ready for their unrehearsed participation, and Portland calls the roll. If you will, Portland, please.
Yes, Mr. Al Jordan of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, good evening, Mr. Jordan.
Good evening, Mr. Allen.
How do you like our New York weather that you've been sampling now that you're up here?
Rough.
It's a little rough, huh? I'm having a new piece of sailcloth put in the back of my coat. I have to tack to get across the street, and I may as well have sailcloth in the... But tell me, what are you doing in New York, may I ask?
Attending the International Convention of Beauty Shop Owners.
The beauty shop owners at... Do you think these are all clients of yours or brother visitors to the convention? Delegates at large.
I hope they're clients.
Well, we'll lock the doors, Mr. Jordan, and give you a chance at them before they get out of here. But tell me, what is the purpose of your beauty convention, if I may ask?
Teaching the beauticians the new hairstyling.
I saw yesterday in the paper that they've invented a cold water permanent wave now. Is that right?
That's correct.
Well, what's the difference between a cold water and the ordinary permanent wave? Will it last just as well?
That I can't answer.
Well, that remains to be seen.
That's
huh?
right.
Well, I wanted to ask you, are the women in this country more beauty conscious than they are elsewhere, do you think? Spend more money on beauty preparations?
I think so.
Well, what would you say would be the average woman's expenditure on her face per week? I mean, a woman who goes to beauty parlor once a week.
That's hard to say, but...
It depends on the woman, huh?
Yes.
Or the husband of the woman. or whether she belongs to a bridge club. Well, would you say $2 or $3 a week? Is that too much?
No, that isn't enough.
It is. Well, I mean, not for business, not for your purposes. But would you say $4 a week?
Around $4
Around $4 a week. Well, at the end of a year, a woman has spent $200 for the upkeep on her face, hasn't she? For the same amount of money, she could own a melodeon and go around on the old Red Path Chautauqua circuit giving concerts. Well, who would you say, Mr. Jordan, is really responsible for the great start and the growth of the beauty business, the real start of it? Who would you say? Have you any idea?
I would say Mr. Joe Byrne and Miss Margaret Leonard.
Well, who are they, may I ask?
They're directors of the International.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Byrne and Mr. Leonard. You think they're greatly responsible for it? Well, I would say that the beauty business today owes its present healthy status to the man who invented the first mirror. Because if the first woman hadn't looked in the first mirror and seen how she looked, she would never had known that she needed a beauty treatment, and it wouldn't have gone on down through the ages. So I think really the man who invented the first mirror, and fortunately I have never looked in one since Mr. Goodman wears his blue serge every Wednesday. And thank you, Mr. Jordan. Now, Portland.
Miss Helene Newberg from New York City.
Well, good evening, Miss Newberg.
Good evening, Miss Dowd.
May I ask your business? Do you work in New York? Are you active here?
Yes, I am.
May I ask you what you do?
I'm assistant to an interior decorator.
An assistant to an interior decorator,
That's right.
huh? Well, what are your actual duties? Are you right in there punching too on the interior? Interior decorating, that's a form of... an interior decorator is really a Rembrandt with furniture, isn't it? Huh? What are your duties? Do you help lug around the furniture until
I should say not.
Oh, you don't?
I will certainly
You
do
sit
not.
back and do the brain work?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me, is interior decorating is it a big business here in the East?
Yes, very much so.
It is, huh? I know out in Hollywood there seem to be scads of interior decorators. No, I really mean that. They have some wonderful homes out there. They have those movie stars. We'll get an interior decorator in to plan all these things, and then the next week they'll have the furniture come in, and the following week the installment collector will come in and carry out the plans and the furniture, and it works out very well. I know Bing Crosby out there has neon termite holes. It's very attractive. You come up at night, you see these little... Well, thank you a lot, Miss Newberg. Don't mind me. If I doze off, wake me up. Have the forum wake me up. All right, Portland.
The next gentleman is Lieutenant Bernie Lay from Berkeley Springs, West Virginia.
Berkeley Springs, is it? More spring jokes on the program. Well, Lieutenant, may I ask you, are you active in some branch of the service?
I'm a First Lieutenant Air Corps Reserve.
Oh, Reserve.
Right now I'm on inactive status. Been working out in Hollywood.
Well, what are you doing in New York?
I'm here as a guest of Paramount for the world premiere of I Wanted Wings next Wednesday at the Astor.
Oh, we would have found out what theater it's at, Lieutenant. I Wanted Wings is the name of the picture. You're going to have a big Hollywood opening with the lights and all that sort of stuff.
Well, this will be the first opening here in New York, and a private showing at Randolph Field.
Oh, of the picture. Are they going to have the big lights outside and everything next Wednesday when it opens?
They haven't told me about that.
They haven't. Well, I saw a fella out here. It's getting the Hollywood system is catching on around here. A fella opened a hamburger stand over on 9th Avenue, and he had the thing. He couldn't afford the lights, but he set fire to his sleeves and was doing that. Worked out very well. Well, That brings...
stand will probably top us.
The what?
The hamburger stand will probably top
Well,
us.
nobody got in. They were so busy putting out the man who owned the place that, that brings us to our question. You know this business isn't going to last, Lieutenant. I mean, you look... Well, that brings us to our question. And since the Texaco Roundtable's discussions are confined to trivia, tonight we take up a minor matter that concerns barbers and beauty shop operators. So many cartoons have been printed and so many jokes told about barbers incessantly talking and the tendency of girls working in beauty parlors to disseminate gossip on the job that we'd like to know how the average customer feels about this situation. And so then our question tonight is, should a barber or beauty shop operator annoy the customer with small talk in an effort to be sociable, or should the barbers and the operators just do their work in silence? Now, Mr. Jordan, how do you feel? Do you favor the barber with sound or the old silent barber?
I favor the one with sound.
You like to have a little conversation along with your singe and your hair work?
Yes.
Well, of course, you're in the beauty business. That's really an unfair question to ask you. You have us there right from the start. Miss Newberg, how do you feel about beauty shop operators? Do you feel that the girls should gossip about their clients or regale the people they're waiting on with small talk?
I most certainly do.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
You like to have the girls talk to you when you go in there?
Uh-huh.
Why, you pick up a little gossip, do you?
That's it.
Why, you won't pick up anything you can't read in a column the next day.
Sometimes you do.
Huh? Do you really?
Uh-huh.
It doesn't show up in the... Where is your beauty shop, may I ask? In other words, you and Mr. Jordan both. Well, if you were a man and went into a barber shop, would you favor, as Mr. Jordan does, the barber with sound?
I certainly
You don't just like to go in and mind your own business and have your hair waved, the new cold water wave that Mr. Jordan spoke about. You like to have company and the little fat chewed while it's going. Well, Lieutenant, how do you feel on the barber question?
Well, I have nothing against the loquacious barber. They only get 35 cents, and look what
Well, wait
Benny,
a minute.
look
Wait,
what
what
Benny
kind of
gets.
shops do you go to now? Wait a minute. Now, Lieutenant. Well, of course, being a writer, as all Hollywood writers, eventually it starts to show in the scalp, and probably you only have 35 cents worth of hair on there. But do you really think that the barber should, or should the barber wait until the customer invites him to participate in a dialogue or a little conversation? You think the barber should just launch into it ad libitum?
I think he's entitled to talk for 35 cents. Look what Benny gets.
Well, I know, but for 35 cents in Hollywood, look what you get. Benny, 3 features, a Mickey Mouse, and a boiled dinner. Well, thanks a lot, Lieutenant. Our round table stands. Unfortunately, we've just whipped this out. We haven't thrashed this question out. We've just whipped it out a little. But our round table stands, or rather sits, thanks to fatigue. And I take pride in the fact that our little discussion tonight has gotten us absolutely no place. I have witnesses here to prove it, and I'm sure that windy tonsorial artists will be just as windy on the morrow as they were today. And since it probably won't be safe for me to show my face in the barber shop from now on, after bringing up this question, I am learning to cut my own hair. And on this frugal note, thank you, Mr. Jordan, Miss Newberg, Lieutenant. And now we return you to Kenny Baker. Kenny is leaving tomorrow for Chicago, where he is singing next Sunday with the Chicago Women's Symphony Orchestra. All Kenny Baker fans are hereby invited to tune in for Kenny's concert next Sunday afternoon. And now, to sort of warm up, Kenny sings for us, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen.
Nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, Lord. Sometimes I'm almost to the ground. Oh, yes, Lord. Oh, nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Glory, hallelujah. If you get stabbed before I do, oh, yes, Lord, tell all of my friends I'm a-coming to. Oh, yes, Lord. Oh, nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Glory, hallelujah. Oh, yes,
That was very nice.
Pardon me, Mr. Allen. Can I borrow your storm?
Borrow my storm?
Yeah, I'm Quigley, sound effects man in Studio 3.
Well,
We're putting on Orphans of the Storm. We got the orphans, but the storm machine is busted.
Oh, your storm effect doesn't work?
Not good. You know how a storm ought to sound? Something like this. Woo! Woo!
Well, how does your storm sound?
Woo!
In other words, your storm machine isn't flexible enough.
Yeah, and it ain't got any power, neither.
Well, if you want flexible power, I recommend you to lend an ear to our flexible flyer, Mr. Larry Elliott. Mr. Elliott, Mr. Sound Technician.
Yes, when you call for power, you want it. Lots of it. Power to get you off to a quick start. Power to permit you to maneuver your car smoothly in traffic. Power to lift you up and over the hills. And that's where the alert, flexible power of Sky Chief comes in. Texaco's different premium gasoline. Just touch the starter and your engine quickly takes over. Bear down a bit on the accelerator and you're in motion eagerly, effortlessly. With quick start, surging acceleration, soaring power on the hills, Texaco Sky Chief gasoline has a way of bringing out the finest performance in any car. Try Sky Chief soon. It's your Texaco dealer's luxury gasoline for those who want the best at the usual premium price.
And now the Texaco Workshop players pay tribute to the production that has made history in the New York theater. The play that is now in its 8th year on Broadway, Tobacco Road. On October 3rd, 1933, the play Tobacco Road opened unheralded in New York City. The story of a shiftless folk and their hillbilly trials and tribulations became a smash hit. Since 1933, Tobacco Road has been played in 247 cities and 41 states by touring companies. Darrell F. Zanuck's great picture version of Tobacco Road has recently been released, and the original New York company is still playing to capacity business here in its 8th year. Its attendance record...
Tobacco Road is played to 2 million grad, 40 of board-bone people.
Its receipts...
Tobacco Road is gross $12,000 and 15 cents.
15 cents?
A lady in Albany forgot her change.
Oh, I see. You rapped on the window with a sponge, I hope. And still, Tobacco Road runs on. Archaeologists predict that this generation will never live to see Tobacco Road close. The sequel to this play, they say, will never be shown in our time. To forestall this dilemma, then, tonight the Texaco Workshop players bring you the sequel to Tobacco Road. It's called Nicotine Alley. Music, maestro.
Teeter! Teeter Fester, wake up! Dog, damn, lazy old coot, wake up!
What's new, Ma?
Everything's new and everything's up but you.
Everything's, what time is it?
It's spring.
Spring, eh? What year?
1941.
41. You mean 31, don't you?
I said 41. 41's what I mean. You've been slating 10 years.
10 years? Jeepers. What's been going on, Ma? Who's president?
He still is.
He is. Where's old Granny Fester?
Granny passed on back in 33.
Oh, too bad. Where's Gramp?
Oh, Gramp didn't bother coming back.
Coming back from where?
The cemetery.
Gramp
was 94 and his shoes was undone. Gramp said it wasn't worth his while to come home again.
No, long as his shoes was undone, he's out there. Grandpa saves herself a trip. Well, where's the kids?
What kids?
Our kids, remember?
Oh, them. Big Sadie run off with a medicine show.
I knowed that'd happen. Big Sadie was always sickly.
Yeah.
What about t'others?
You recollect Sour Sam?
Sour Sam. Let me see. He was the little shaver with no holes in his nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sour Sam joined up with some feller named Ripley.
What become of t'other boy? The husky one with 8 toes.
Oh, that would be Burley.
Burley with 8 toes, 7 on the left foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burley went west. Got a job stamping out forest fires.
There. Doing mighty well, I guess. Professional hot footer. Well, reckon I'll get me out of bed.
First thing you better do is take a bath. I'll go out and dam the creek.
Hold on. Now, I ain't a bathin', Ma. My pa never bathed, and his pa for him never bathed, and his pa for his pa never bathed. And who's to the door? Unlatch and track in. Tupper Manson.
Howdy, Teeter. Howdy, Miss Fester.
What brings you calling, Tupper?
Well, there was talk down in the barber shop you was out of bed, Teeter.
Yep, I'm out.
I didn't believe it. Just dropped in to make sure. Goodbye.
Darn busybody, coming round every 10 years, put his nose into other folks' affairs. Dirty poke nose.
Tupper may be a poke nose, but he ain't dirty, Paul. Tupper bath.
And I don't bath. Now you know the difference between me and Tupper.
Well, just same, you ought to use that there cleaning gadget that salesman left last year.
What is it, a Squad J?
No, looks like a brick.
Brick?
There's writing on it.
Yeah?
See?
What's it read?
SOAP. SOAP.
SOAP?
Yeah, salesman says this SOAP cleans you fine.
SOAP, I'll make a note of that.
Howdy, Ma.
Howdy, little Teeter.
Hey, who's this here Rube, Ma?
This here's your paw, little Teeter.
No kidding.
Don't you know your own paw, son?
I didn't recognize you standing up, Pa.
What you been up to, son? You smell of sachet.
I've been out sweet talking love to Hatfield, Ma.
Sweet talking? You ain't gone calico mad, son.
Well, I did give Lovey a piggyback ride down to our drugstore.
Son, you didn't go into that drugstore.
Lovey made me, Ma.
What went on in that drugstore, son? Out with it.
Well,
your pa's speaking to you, son.
What went on in that drugstore, that iodoform den?
Well, I bought Lovey a Coca-Cola with one straw, and we ain't took turns.
A son of mine alternating on a Coca-Cola?
You only 35, son, and alternating?
Alternating and only 35.
The devil must have been in me, Ma.
Well, tell me the worst, son. Was the Coca-Cola with lime?
Pa.
The truth, son. Was it with lime?
Yes, Pa.
Then you'll have to marry the girl. Get your shawl on, Ma. We'll get over to Hatfield's. Where's my shotgun?
Hold the wedding, Pa. Eating comes afore marrying.
Yeah, maybe your ma's right, son. Coming on supper time. You go run your arm down the gopher hole. We'll have supper.
Okay, Pa.
I reckon this is Zeb Tinkham with the mail.
Letter for you, Teeter.
Well, thank you, Zeb.
Want I should come in and read it for you?
No, there's 3 of us to hum, Zeb. Reckon 3 of us can handle her.
Okay.
What is it, Paul?
Look at it. It's too small for a catalog. Postman says 'twas a letter. Well, wait till I get the bark off her. Reckon the writing's inside. There she's open. Next thing now's to read her. Let me see.
You got the letter upside down, Pa.
I know. I'm reading her the hard way, son.
Let me read her, Pa. I can read writing.
Okie baby dokey, son. Here, give her a go.
Shucks. It's from the government.
The government? What's he want?
Says the government wants to buy our land. We ain't got to get off. Says the government man will be here today to take over.
Whoop! Whoopee! We can sell the land for money, Paul. I can get a new string for my Sunday apron. Whoopee!
Money. How am I taking Lovey for another Coke?
By jeepers and by creepers, nobody's buying this land. Asbestos has lived and died on this here land for 200 years. No festa never bathed, and no festa never sold no land. By jeepers and by creepers. If this is that Givement, man, here's where I get my revenge for Gibbysburg. Unlatch and trek in, Yankee.
Hey, excuse me. My name's LaGuardia. Which way is the new aquarium?
What's the aquarium?
This is where we're building it. Isn't this Bronx Park?
This is Ozark County, Tennessee.
Darn that 6th Avenue subway.
No wonder the little man gets lost. Can't see nothing from out under that hat.
Why don't you sell him the land?
No, by jeepers and by the creepers. I was born on this here land, and I'm dying on this land. By jeepers and by creepers.
This must be Mr. Givement now.
It's Givement. Unlatch and trek in, Givement.
Hey, Fester.
What's it to you?
I'm from Washington, from the Givement.
What, Givement?
I'm here to buy this property.
Well, 'tain't for sale, mister.
You've got to sell, Fester. The government is building a training camp here on your land.
Training camp?
You going to put in trains on the land like a depot, mister?
No, Rube. The government is training men. It's the draft.
Sounds daffy. Men training to sit in a draft.
It's the Army draft, lady. Haven't you yokels heard about the war?
I thought the war's over when Dewey took Manila that time.
Look, I haven't got time to explain the world situation, folks. Here's a check for your land. Now beat it.
No, by jeepers and by creepers. Asbestos has been living on this land for 200 years. We ain't aiming to move.
Oh, this farce has gone far enough.
Yeah.
If you hillbillies don't get off this land, Mr. Big will put his foot down.
Threatening won't get you no place, stranger. I'll handle you and Mr. Big off the land.
Oh, yeah? If you think Mr. Big is joking, I'll just tack this poster on your door here.
Yeah?
There. That's your official notice, Fester. Good.
That's Mr. Gibman, and good riddance to you, Gibman. What's this writing say, Ma? Let me see. Gibman says, Gibman, by jeepers and by creepers. Hitch the mule, Ma.
What's up?
Pack the Sears Roebuck catalog, son. We're getting off in the land.
But, Pa, you swore you'd stay.
I know, Ma, but no festa can stand the penalty that Mr. Biggs writ on that there paper.
What's Mr. Big allow?
It says anybody obstructing the construction of this army camp will find himself in hot water.
Hot water?
They're threatening me with a bath, Ma, and I can't take it. By jeepers and by... Thank you, and now just a nightcap word from Larry Elliott.
The next few moments are devoted to the entire petroleum industry by the Texas Company. You may call it petroleum or just simply oil, but no other single resource in so short a period of world history has played so great a part in building a nation like the industrialized and mechanized America of today. And now, as America mobilizes, our available supply of oil, the lifeblood of our democratic economy and defense, is the greatest in our history. Through research, exploration, and scientific production, the petroleum industry has planned and is now prepared to meet not only the daily demands of our civilian life, but every demand of America's defense program.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for driving by and parking at the Texaco Star Theater tonight. Remember, we'll save a parking space for you next Wednesday evening. This is Fred Allen saying good night for the more than 45,000 Texaco dealers from coast to coast and inviting you to drive in anytime. Remember, you're welcome. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Jack Benny Show. I hope you'll enjoy this episode. This show has a couple problems with it. The music is cut out of the episode, and there's no beginning of the episode. It just starts right off. So it ends up being a short episode. It ends up being about 19 minutes long. I listened to it, and something just didn't sound quite right with it. It sounded good, but there's something going on with their voices, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought, it's just a smidge slow. So I sped it up by 1%, and then listen to it again, and it sounds right to me now. So it might be, maybe it's a smidge fast, I'm not sure, but it sure sounds more correct, and the jokes sound just come out better and everything than when it's slower. When it's too slow, it just throws off the timing, and Jack's timing is everything. So I find a lot of these older episodes from the 35, 36 season are definitely slower than they should be, and so they need to be sped up just a smidge to get them to the right speed. Anyway, so I hope you enjoy this episode. I really had to do some work on Thursday night's episode from 70 years ago. That I had two different source files for it, and one was unfortunately too bass sounding and muffled, and the other one sounded clear, but it was really had a lot of static on parts of it. I mean, so much so that it distracted from the show. So I took the best parts of each and kind of Frankensteined them together to make this new episode. So I hope that was enjoyable for you. I listened to the whole thing after I'd created it, and I'm pretty satisfied with what I did. And I said I would talk about last week's episode. Last week's episode from 75 years ago, the one where they go to the zoo, is a fun episode. It had a lot of skips in it, and so I went through and removed the skips wherever it'd say when, I'd remove all the whens except for one of them, and try and keep the one that sounded the most natural, so that when you're listening to it, you wouldn't hear the skips and the repeats. I didn't cut all the skips out of the whole show, but I went to the parts that were the worst offenders and tried to fix those. Really, it was in like a 2 or 3 minute spot of the show where it was just really skipping and really had trouble. And so I cleaned that up as best as I could, and I think created a lot better sounding show. I don't try, just so we're clear on this, I happen to have changed a lot of episodes recently, but overall, I don't change a lot of episodes. I like to keep them the way they are as much as possible, but if it's a glaring error that I think is easy to fix, then I go ahead and fix it. Like a repeated word, obviously, they didn't mean for it to do that, so if I can get that repeated word out of there, it cleans up the episode. Also, if it's an obvious speed thing, after listening to, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of Jack Benny, you start to pick up on the intonation of each of their voices, and you can just tell. For me, it's usually Don and Jack, where I can tell how their voices should sound, and if they just sound a little too slow and a little off, then I'm going to go, okay, that needs to be sped up a little. And that's just kind of the way it is. Anyway, we've got a few more weeks with Harry Kahn as the writer from 75 years ago, and then he'll go AWOL, and we'll go more into that when that happens. And then Ed Beloin and Bill Morrow will step in, along with the able assist of Al Boasberg, and start taking over the writing chores. And from their very first script, I think you guys will hear that there's a big difference, and they have a lot more of the. Or if you're listening to these episodes, I've really been enjoying these episodes a lot, but you'll notice that these episodes, there's just something that doesn't sound quite right in the approach and to the comedy, and that's just Harry Kahn's style. Whereas we're used to Ed Beloin and Bill Morrow's style, and certainly Tackaberry's and Johannesburg's and Balzer and Sam Perrin's style of writing that we get in the later Jack Benny years. So these Harry Kahn ones, sometimes they don't hit quite right. You're thinking, it sounds a little different. So I think it'll be interesting when we switch over to Ed Bloin and Bill Morrow to see if you guys notice the difference in writing style. Anyway, enjoy tonight's episode, and we will see you next week for some more Jack Benny from 75 years ago. Oh, I thought I mentioned there's no, of course, Fred Allen show tonight. That episode's missing, lost to time right now. Hopefully it'll turn up. For the rest of this season, I don't think we're missing any Jack Benny episodes. I think we're going to have every single one. Some of them we only have partial shows, but I don't think we're missing any more, so that's pretty cool. Enjoy the show. Enjoy Kenny Baker and Don Wilson and Jack Benny and Mary Livingston all together. And, of course, we have Johnny Green as well, who'll be leaving after this season. And we'll see you next time.
And this week we bring to you from Washington that national comedian and his entire cabinet, Jack Benny.
Well, thank you. Hello again. This is Jack Benny coming to you from Washington, D.C., and only 1 mile from the White House. Think of it, Don, just 1 mile from the White House.
Well, what's so wonderful about that?
That's closer than Al Smith ever got.
You're right.
This certainly is a great town, Don. Every place you go, you meet senators, congressmen, diplomats, statesmen.